I'm all for balancing the budget, but I hate to tell Mr. Biggs this isn't going to work. The threshold for spending out of balance is 2/3. And let me just go through. 2/3 is not a high enough threshold. That's 67%. Let me go through some of the omnibus bills and the percentages by which they passed the House and the Senate. In 2016, an unbalanced budget passed by 73% in the House. In 2017, an unbalanced budget passed by 71% in the House. In 2018, an unbalanced budget passed with 83% of the vote in the Senate. In 2019, 69% of the House voted for an unbalanced budget. In 2020, 68% of the House voted for an unbalanced budget. In 2021, 68% of the Senate voted for an unbalanced budget. In 2022, 68% of the Senate voted for an unbalanced budget. In 2023, 75% of the Senate voted for an unbalanced budget. And in 2024, 80% of the House voted for an unbalanced budget. Just this year in 2026, one of the minibuses passed with 91%, and it's not even close to balancing. So what would a 2/3 threshold do to stop this body or the other body from spending us into oblivion like we've been doing since 2016? I just don't see it.
Gentlemen, yield for a question?
I'll certainly yield to the chairman.
Well, we just heard from the ranking member. He blamed it all on Republicans. It sounds like Democrats were involved in those numbers as well. Is that right?
I think it's the uniparty. It's like you can, the way we get budgets through the House and the Senate here is that when you don't have enough votes, you add more spending to it for somebody, and then you develop a new constituency, a bigger constituency, and that's how you get to 60% in the Senate and 51% in the House. But you don't even need to get to that because we had, like I said, 91% of the House voted. There were only 21 people who didn't vote for the Commerce, Justice, Science, Energy, and Water and Interior minibus.
Would the gentleman yield for a question?
I would yield.
What do you make of the example of what happened in the Clinton administration with the Democratic president and Republican Congress, and the president was determined to come forward with balanced budgets, and there were record surpluses that took place for several years?
On the House floor, a lawmaker from Kentucky pushed back against a proposed balanced budget amendment, arguing that the plan would not actually stop Congress from overspending. The congressman said the proposal requires a 2/3 vote to approve unbalanced spending, but pointed out that Congress already passes unbalanced budgets by well over that margin almost every year. He cited multiple examples going back to 2016, where omnibus and minibus spending bills passed with between 68% and more than 90% support in the House or Senate, yet still added to the national debt. According to the lawmaker, this shows that a 2/3 threshold is not strong enough to force fiscal discipline. He argued that both parties are responsible, describing Congress as a uniparty that builds support for massive spending bills by adding more programs to win more votes.
I'm glad you asked that. I looked at your chart. I was very interested in it. You said Obama's budget, Biden's budget, Trump's budget. The Constitution gives us the power of the budget. We are the ones that spend the money, not the White House. If you want a chart and you want to reflect accurately who is bankrupting this country, don't put the president's name on the chart. Put the Congress, put who was the Speaker of the House at that time. And I think what you'll find is Nancy Pelosi is responsible for over 30% of all the debt ever accumulated in this country today when she was Speaker. Reclaiming my time, there's another problem that I have with this balanced budget amendment, the constitutional amendment. For any year in which there's a declaration of war, it doesn't apply. Oh my gosh, we'll be declaring war on Madagascar or some poor country people can't find on the map after we pass the rules and elect a speaker. It'll be the third vote of every session of Congress to declare war so we can get that little formality out of the way and start spending as much as we want. So that's a problem. I think the answer might be actually in the way that constitutional amendments are passed. You need, what, 3/4 of the states to agree? I think a real balanced budget amendment, constitutional amendment, could require the states, 3/4 of the states, to say, you know what, there's enough of an emergency, we're going to let you guys in Washington spend because you rightfully pointed out, many states have balanced budget, 49 states, and they stick to them. You can't trust anybody up here, Republicans or Democrats, whether who's in the White House or who the speaker is. So, I mean, I applaud the effort, and I know this thing is super popular, but if you're at home listening, just remember, every year we already pass a budget by more than 2/3. And when I say budget, I'm talking about an omnibus bill. It's not really a budget, it's just wanton spending and everything in one giant bill. It's always like a CR or an omnibus, like the one we're gonna vote on tomorrow. It's got half of all of government in it. And these things pass with 2/3 votes anyway, so I don't think the threshold's high enough, and with that I yield back.
When questioned about past budget surpluses under President Bill Clinton, the congressman emphasized that the Constitution gives spending power to Congress, not the White House. He argued that responsibility for the debt lies primarily with congressional leadership, not presidents, and criticized both Republicans and Democrats for runaway spending. He also raised concerns about loopholes in the proposed amendment, noting that balanced budget requirements would not apply during a declared war, something he warned could be easily abused to justify unlimited spending. As an alternative, the lawmaker suggested a stronger constitutional amendment that would require approval from 3/4 of U.S. states to allow deficit spending in emergencies, similar to how many states enforce balanced budget rules. In closing, he said that while the idea of a balanced budget amendment is popular, the current proposal would change very little, since Congress already passes massive spending bills with more than enough votes. He ended by yielding back his time as debate continued. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update.